I'm telling you, I got to a point in my life where I'm like, why is it that I feel like as a black person or as an African person in Australia, I have to work 3 or 4 times harder than anybody else for me to get a promotion at my work? And the first thing to get rid of a problem is to admit that there is a problem. So Australia, please, I beg you to admit that you do have a racism problem. We in Australia, we may not be going through what they're going through right now. They are just one step ahead of us. Hey guys, my name is Brother Dave, but close friends and family call me David Niu Corey. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what's been going on. I tried my best to be silent, to not say anything about it because I was just speechless. I didn't know what to say. With this whole George Floyd situation going on right now in the US. But I gotta give you a disclaimer. I'm not Black American. I do not live in America. I live in Australia. I live in Melbourne, Australia. Therefore, you could say that I do not understand the Black American struggle, and I definitely 100% do not understand it because I am not Black American. But the truth of the matter is, it is a race issue, and I do understand the race problem because I am an African Australian here, and I can speak. The only thing I can't speak for America, but I can speak for Australia. So this message has nothing to do with America. It's got everything to do with Australia. I tried to stay silent about this whole thing because I just didn't think it was time for me to talk about it. I've been experiencing racism in this country, Australia, for literally most of my time here since I came in 2005. From primary school to high school, to work. I've experienced it. It's real. And I think the worst thing that Australia can do is disregard the reality of racism in this country. That's the worst thing you can do because the truth of the matter is racism does exist. There are people who are saying that we shouldn't really bring whatever's going on in the US to this country because Australia is great. There's nothing wrong with Australia. But the first thing I gotta say is, man, whatever happened to George Floyd? If you're telling me it happening in Australia, then there have been some stories that have been hidden from you. The truth of the matter is, there has been a similar story with an Aboriginal man, and when it comes to police brutality, it exists in Australia, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. But I'm just putting it out there that it may not be as frequent as in America, but in Australia there is this thing going on, and the situation is different, but it doesn't mean it's not existent. What I want to talk about is this. What America is facing right now is what I want to call the harvest. Because seeds of racism have been planted in that country for so many years. Seeds of racism. And when I say seeds of racism, is little comments here and there. Little things here and there. The things that children experience in high school, things that people of color experience in school, they are seeds. They were seeds. And when a situation like George Floyd happens and the whole country just loses it, it does not mean it's not about that isolated incident. It's about the little seeds that have been planted for so many decades. That's just erupting. There's just the harvest. They're collecting fruit for the stuff, for the seeds that have been planted. And what I'm trying to say here is, we in Australia, we may not be going through what they're going through right now. They are just one step ahead of us. What I mean is, we're heading there if we don't watch out. And the first thing to get rid of a problem is to admit that there is a problem. So Australia, please, I beg you to admit that you do have a racism problem. If you don't admit it, then what's going to happen is that seeds are going to continue to be spread out. Seeds, little seeds, and then you're going to collect a harvest just like what America is going through right now. So I am pleading everyone to check their heart and ask God to cleanse our heart from this demonic spirit of racism. And I'm not talking about, and hey, I'm not having a go at white people. I'm talking about every race, because this is not a race. This is not a white black issue. It's a humanity issue. Racism is not just towards black people. Racism is towards any culture. Racism is when you downgrade somebody else's race. All right? That's what racism is. And I want you to check whether you're black or white. Check in your heart whether your heart is right. We gotta make sure that we clean our heart from this spirit of racism, so that situations like George Floyd don't continue to happen. All I'm saying is, if we don't be careful, this is where Australia is heading. And it starts off with little things. I mean, I remember the way I was treated in high school. Not just high school, primary school, by my teachers. Or in high school, by my teachers. Those were just seeds. I'm telling you, I got to a point in my life where I'm like, why is it that I feel like as a black person or as an African person in Australia, I have to work 3 or 4 times harder than anybody else for me to get a promotion at my work? Those are seeds. I mean, nobody is killing me physically. But I'm telling you, even though it's not the same level, these are just seeds. And it's going to create a harvest soon. And it's going to be violent very soon if things don't change. So I am not importing whatever is happening in America to Australia. All I'm saying is, I don't need to import it from there. It is already here. It's already here. It's already an issue here. Police have killed Aboriginals here. Racism still exists here. And it's only getting worse. It's just America is ahead of us when it comes to the mess of it. When it comes to the fruits of it. So I'm just saying, Australia, please admit that you have an issue with racism. We are not any different. It's just that they are one step ahead of us. So that's pretty much all I have to say. There is hope, but hope, let us not let it become worse before we do something about it. Let's check our hearts. Let's let each person check their heart about the way they treat any other human being. It does not have to come to what's happening in America. We can fix it right now. Australia, we can fix it. And it starts with me. It starts with us. I hope this has given you a different perspective. Again, I'm not talking for America. I'm talking for Australia, because this is my home. I love this country. I love my government. But truth of the matter is, I'm experiencing racism, and it needs to stop. But this thing starts with me. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. That's all I have to say.